CDC guidelines for cleaning and disinfecting these circumstances. We can help to minimize the spread of COVID-19 by following the CDC guidelines for hygiene and social distancing. This includes stay at home when you're sick. Avoid contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth. Cover your cough or sneeze with a tissue, then throw your tissue in the trash. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects and surfaces using a regular household cleaning spray or water. Wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds using sanitizer or at least 60% alcohol when soap is not available. Stay 6 feet away from others. Avoid gathering in groups. Wear cloth face masks, face coverings in public. And again, for more information, please follow the CDC.com. Again, this is a very important issue. And again, we cannot share who the person is, but in our common areas, we need to continue, and which is still in effect, to wear masks wherever you're at. And I know we have phase 3 in effect, which opens up the card room, the gym, more than what we had in phase 2. So please make sure when we use those areas that, we're social distancing. And Stuart, I don't think, with this going on in the building, can we stay with the phase 3 in our building?
As long as we don't see it spread from the one person, we watch it very cautiously. We're doing a deep cleaning. But if we see it spread, then we'll have to do a little bit of a rollback. By the way, even though the state made it non-mandatory about masks, the county still has a mandatory mask rule, and it is subject to a $1,000 fine by the county of Broward. So we will continue to enforce our rules.
And again, for the resident does have COVID-19, we'd like to send our sincere and hope you get better. And, that we don't wish this on anybody.
Right.
Okay, service elevator up. Will anybody else on the board have anything about the COVID-19?
No.
Okay. Service elevator update. Andrew.
No.
Since you were there with the technicians and the inspectors, would you like to give us a little update?
Okay. Well, my only contribution from when I was with the inspector is that this Superflex cable wasn't installed to his liking or mine, and some rollers down in the bottom of the pit need to be adjusted and the cable lowered slightly so it doesn't pull hard on them. Do you want me to address the weight issue?
Yes, that too.
Okay, then that was determined really by just rolling in or out weights. It was pretty much a hit and miss. It wasn't scientific at all. And this children's story we got from the cab people about the weight of the installed new interior just doesn't make sense. He's showing 1,348 pounds. Somewhere in there, they took out all the old interior fittings.
Which was wood.
Well, I don't care if it was steel plate, wood, or styrofoam. It didn't weigh 348 pounds to account for a 1,000-pound difference.
Mm-hmm.
That was 3/4-inch plywood. That stuff's pretty darn heavy. So they've got to make their math work.
Which we've asked them to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which did come down on the estimate. I think it was roughly about 4,000 on the previous quote. Now it's at $3,328.73. And again, this is from the inspector that gave us that violation, right?
Yeah, the inspector did that, but he didn't even add up some numbers. He just winged it by having the technician down in the ground floor roll weights in 1,000-pound increments.
Okay.
He didn't take the time to bother taking half the weights out of a box. I'd like to see some proof of what really needs to be done. I don't doubt it needs weights added or subtracted, because every time you change the floor surface, they
Right.
have to do a calibration of weight.
Right.
But they're making it up. Finished cut steel, in my world, sold to Joe Smith off the street, goes for $2 a pound.
Well, Andrew, I forwarded to you the specs from the cab company as to what the weights of the new
That's
cab.
what I'm looking at. I've got that.
Yeah.
So,
I just don't know. I just don't know what
The
to do with
total
the
there
old
was $13.48.
Yeah.
wouldn't our annual elevator inspection we get inspected by the county, right? Broward County
Correct.
for elevators?
Yeah, it's somebody out of Fort Lauderdale. The same office
So-
as the man here.
So wouldn't our annual inspections, don't they check whether or not the car is in balance or out of balance? And if we don't know, we should contact the inspection office?
Mr. Margo, we are actually waiting for a date from the city to be inspected. Normally when you're on a repair and replacement project or before, they would not require you to do the inspection from the city because you're in the middle of a project. But they have us to complete that inspection, so we're waiting on a date from the city because we don't pay an extra independent contractor if we wait for a date from the city.
I understand that. So that's not my question though. My question is, every year we have an elevator inspection.
Yes, they would tell.
We didn't have one this year because we didn't need one, because we were doing a new elevator and the permits were pulled in time, etc. So we did what was required under the law. But last year and the year before and the year before that, and no changes have been made to that elevator in probably 20 or 30 years.
And they do a load test every year.
So do they
The load test.
check to see if the car is in balance or out of balance every year? That's what I want to know from Broward County. If they do, and they say that they do that, what the cab company, the elevator cab company is telling us, doesn't hold water. And it's
I
as
certainly
simple as that.
agree with that. I don't believe this piece of paper I got from the cab company at all. We had a similar story in the garage elevator. I think Fonny remembers that because we changed the thickness of the tiles on the floor.
Yeah.
That involved another test from the county. I don't know that there was any weight added or subtracted.
So-
Can I ask something?
So we don't know what they do in the annual inspection. What I'm proposing is we find out whether or not they check if the car is in balance or out of balance each year. And if they do, if they say that they do check that, then what the elevator cab company doesn't hold water. They have to fix it for free.
Except last year we didn't have to do the inspection because we were doing the repair and replacement.
Okay, the year before that.
The year before that, they did the inspection, and the elevator company was required to do repairs. So yes, I can check for you for the city inspector.
Thank you.
Richard, you're talking two different things that you have to clarify, because you keep saying elevator cab company. There's a cab company who built the cab, and then there's Connections who built the elevator. The facility provided us with a new cab, and they've now given us the weight of the new cab. What we need to know is what was the weight of the old one that threw this out of balance.
Needing 1,000 pounds.
Right. We need to know what the old elevator cab weighed so we can see whether there was a 1,000 pound difference. But don't forget, we also redid the shell. So the shell may have been used, they may have used a different material to do the outside shell of the cab.
Can I say something
Nothing
now?
better
Right,
than-
but if we know what was installed, right?
Yeah, I've got a list of that here, Rich.
Okay. I don't know where,
Hello? Can I say
I don't know
something?
where we would. Go ahead.
I don't mean to cut you off, I've been waiting patiently. Okay, I follow everything that you're saying. And my concern though is we need that elevator as soon as possible. There are people who are waiting and it's costing them money because they can't move and all of these issues. Why don't we bite the bullet, have it done, and then go after whoever has to pay for it?
I agree with you on that. I mean, I'm waiting to move in. I haven't moved in yet.
Right?
So I think
Some assurances.
I'm not against that, but I think in order to do that, we have to notify them that we are going to pay them, but we're doing it under protest or whatever it is that we have to send them to let them know that we may challenge this in the future, but in good faith, we are going to pay you at this point. We need to go on record and say that.
With that.
Otherwise, just paying them is going to be construed as us agreeing to, the fact that they're right.
Okay, but for $3,000 and something, we need to move it down.
But we need to make sure that this doesn't happen 3 more times.
I've asked that question now. I asked the questions for the weight of our future cabs that are coming, the service cabs. I asked what the future weight is, and I asked what the current weight is so we can see. Because I don't want to get blindsided on this.
Yeah, because I told Bonnie that we need to get a meeting with Connections and the
Helen,
cab company.
it's the closet company. Oh,
Huh?
I think we all agree on that.
Yeah. Okay,
Let's do it.
Alright,
I make a motion to
we already voted for these buckets, we're still up here, it's just a.
service, where's,
We're on
oh, okay. So did B.
We're gonna go to self.
Bill, is there anybody waiting to get into the meeting? I got a text message.
One person, 1 second. They've been entered. One
Okay.
person.
Okay, let's move on.
Wait, do we need a motion and a
No,
vote?
We have to vote, Bill.
That was an update, we're
But
gonna.
we need an amendment to vote on.
to do the new business
I will compose a letter, send it out to the board for approval before I send it over to Connection Elevator, without protest. How's that?
Okay.
But I make a motion
Around
to,
3,000.
I make a motion to,
The line item yet, Stuart, we're still under updates, when we get to the new business, we can make the motion.
oh, okay, sorry.
South Chiller.
Andrew, that's you.
Well, I'm going to pass the buck to Fonny. We keep hearing dog-eared stories about circuit boards,
Yeah.
and I've yet to see a man up there put a new one in.
South Chiller update, I spoke to Dave Long today, he said that he did get an email that the parts had been received, I guess at their site, so he will be scheduling for work to come and do or install the last parts that are needed in the South Chiller. So yes, there has been noticeable warmth in areas due to that, the chiller being down. And if they're going to schedule, when they schedule, we'll put it up and hopefully that will be the end of that. But they did tell us, the technician, that there was a problem with the control board. Apparently, he thinks that the control board must be replaced. Dave Long this morning did not have the same opinion. He felt that as long as the control board continues to function, that we may not have to replace it. So we're gonna wait for time to have a final decision, but he is going to be sending us a proposal, for that control board, should he decide that we need to move forward and replace it. So we're looking for the date of install for the South Chiller part, and there may be a proposal for the control board.
Fonny, was this related to a rodent chewing on some stuff?
Correct. The control board, there was a rodent that was stuck on, got burnt and electrified on there, and so the board might have taken a hit because of that. So, But again, Dave is not so sure that it has to be replaced, although the technician was certain that it would have to be replaced. So we shall see after we install the parts.
Okay, question. Isn't the south chiller what we just heard about in our reserve study that is overdue to be replaced?
It may very well be. Howard, when you guys were discussing the reserve study, did you discuss the south chiller?
Give me a second, I'll pull it up.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think anything was overdue. I think
No,
it was just
I think there
coming.
was 2 years left of that. I think that the issue was,
Howard?
one chiller was 2 years with the useful life, and the other
Right.
chiller had 9 useful life.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was the south chiller that was the oldest.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the update for the south chiller. Do you have anything on that, board?
Well, in that south chiller room, Fonny, there are several rat traps that aren't baited. Can we get them back on the list to be baited?
Yes, in fact, I have communicated to Rusty from Tropical Pest Control that was an issue. So we may have him going up there as well.
And whoever's fixing that, can they block whatever holes are in that cabinet that would let a rodent get in?
Okay, we can discuss that as
Okay.
next update.
Front desk update.
Front desk update, Jimenez, the contractor is still working on the permit. The board did email a city official or someone to help us push the permit approval. And as a result of that, I did meet with Pete McGinnis here on site this week. And we discussed the front desk. I contacted Marco Jimenez with Pete McGinnis online and basically instructed him what was pending, and basically he needs to resubmit an application with you. He said he was doing that right away, documentation was signed, so hopefully we'll get that moving to get approval for the continuing of that project.
Next is pest rodent.
Pest rodents, so that's gonna be tropical pests. And I have an email here where I got an update from them. They're saying they've had a second month in a row of reduced activity. The baiting program is showing positive results. There are a lot more bait stations concentrated on the north side of the building, and the activity has dropped again in these bait stations. The bait stations that are closest to the underground exit have shown an increase in activity. So we need to follow up as far as the garbage that's being stored inside the receptacles so that the baiting program can remain effective. The camera systems have also been showing reductions in activity, and this Friday they're going to place extra cameras around the first floor close to the second deck because of a complaint that was had. So that's the update.
Just to let you know, a couple of chats. When will the surface elevator be finished and scheduled deliveries? That's one question. Does anyone?
When we pass inspection.
Okay. Do you have any? Okay. And then Eleanor wrote about where is the permit? Who is APFEL on city site? What is the cost difference from city permit? I don't know what that means. So who is APFEL on the city site? What is the cost different from the city permit?
No idea.
Not sure what that question is.
Okay, just keep the question and we'll clarify it, but because I don't understand it, what's the difference between.
Okay.
Okay. Financial update, Howard.
Financial update. Okay, give me a second. Let me share content. Oh, darn. It says only the host can share content. Can you
Make
change
him a co-host. You have to
Make
make
me a
Howard a co-host.
Okay. Associate producer.
associate producer?
You are now co-host, sir.
You got it, Howard.
I will share content. Okay. So the first thing I will show everybody is the income statement.
Okay, Howard, it's
It's
loading.
a noticeably blank page, Howard.
Howard has started screen share.
It's gonna take a little bit to load.
Yeah. I don't have anything, Howard. Howard, you there?
I think he had a bad connection because his picture froze.
Yeah, I think he's,
Do we want to just go on and come back to Howard?
yeah, Howard, are you back
I'm
in?
here. I'm back. Okay, let me try this one more time. Okay, you're gonna have to give me access to share again.
Okay, you got it.
Okay. Try this one more time.
Okay. If not, you just have to verbally talk to him.
Okay, here we go. All right. Hopefully everyone can see this.
Yeah.
So this is our income statement through August. I'll start with the revenue number. We are slightly better than budget by $38,000 due to various different reasons. Late fees are up. We don't budget, just to let everybody know, we don't budget for late fees, legal fees, or laundry income, or any of these. The only thing that we budget for is our maintenance. So any revenue that's earned through the year, we're going to be better than budget. So let's go to the expenses. Administrative expenses, our budget is $185,000. We are coming in at $182,000. So some of the reasons why we're better is our bad debt is better by $6,000. Our legal fees are better by $16,000. On the other hand, miscellaneous expenses called P cards, it's $5,000 worse, and permits of $6,000 worse. On an overall basis, we're $3,500 better. Insurance, we budgeted for $333,000. Our actual is $319,000. I do expect it to get worse as our renewal was more money than we anticipated. I just think it's a timing issue. By year end, it should flatten out. Utilities, we are worse than budget by $12,000. Electric is $12,000 better, but the water sewer is $7,000 worse. Gas and oil is $10,000 worse, and telephone is $7,000 worse. In the gas, just to let you know, the reason why we are $10,000 worse is that for a year we were not billed. Let me rephrase that. We were not billed by our gas company correctly, and we just settled with them. So we did not know that we weren't paying them, and so it's in as an operating expense. Contract with vendors. $286,000 actual, $287,000 budget. Certain things are in there like pest control, for example, we're $12,000 worse. The reason for that is because we hired the rat company. Money well spent. But group insurance is slightly better. Lawn maintenance includes a one-time expense of, I think, the rocks, and everything else is slightly better. Employee cost. We are $19,000 better, $476,000 to $495,000. Repairs and maintenance, we are $21,000 worse than budget, $210,000 actual, $189,000 are budgeted. Just a lot of work that was not anticipated. And then transfer from reserves, it's just the interest. Prior year expense. You should really ignore that because there was a reallocation of some 2019 operating expenses. On a real basis, we are $33,000 better than budget. So our budget, you know, our numbers overall are pretty good. All right, so that's, yes, go
Howard,
ahead.
thank you.
I was just saying with the, you know, with the electrical, with all those type of things, electrical, water and everything, being that we're all secluded in our apartments and, you know, staying in more, we're cooking more, we're washing more, the laundry, the water and that would go up. So that's probably some of the over budget.
Yeah.
Those numbers.
Right. I mean, the same thing with air conditioning, but we're slightly $2,000 better. And I also anticipate certain things will decrease like next year. So
Sure.
we'll deal with that. So I don't see if does anyone have any questions on this before I go to the next slide?
And the P cards, just to bring up the P cards, you know, with COVID-19, we're buying a lot of extra supplies, cleaning supplies,
Yes.
masks, you know, which every building and every company is doing. So, you know, understand that's where those type of things will increase.
But the bottom line is positive.
Yeah, bottom line is positive, right?
Yes. The bottom line on an overall basis is positive.
Thank
All
you.
right,
There's a lot of fiscal responsibility this year.
Yep. Okay. So I'm going to go share the second screen. 1 second. And this is our receivables, just to show where we're.
I think it died. No, that's what happened last. You still there, Howard? You froze. Okay, Howard's gonna have to log out again. There he is. And then you're back, Howard.
We'll try this one more time. I think you're going to have to give me control again. Yes.
Make fun.
And if it doesn't work, then we'll move on to the next thing. So I
Okay,
just want to talk about receivables.
okay. You should be good to go.
We're going to give it a shot.
Good.
Seems it worked better on the second time around.
I think so. Okay. So right before in the month of March, by the end of March, we were owed $78,000 in receivables. It got slightly worse in April, you know, and due to the pandemic in May. However, since May, where we currently stand, in June we were up to $131,000. We were getting a little concerned, but since between June and now, our receivables are down to $57,000, of which $20,000 is over 90 days. But yes, I agree with Stuart on an overall basis. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank all the residents.
Yes. Thank you to the residents. Thank you for service for doing their job and collecting all the money. Everyone's done a really great job. So thank you very much. So that's where we stand on all this. Okay? All right, I'm going to stop sharing.
Thank you, Howard.
Right, so next we're gonna go to, new business.
Okay. Discuss and approve MCW proposal for the inspection of the northeast elevation stairwell and window drops. So, what is the,
So we,
We have a problem, and we don't know how to fix it, and we don't know who to blame.
Good summary.
Basically, after we finished the concrete restoration, even though we brought this up prior to starting the concrete restoration, we saw moisture coming into our stairwells on the northeast part of the building.
on the 10th floor?
Whenever we have a strong storm with wind-driven rain, we are seeing a small accumulation on a number of floors. So we contacted both our engineering company and the concrete restoration company to try and find out what was wrong. the first thing that the concrete restoration company told us was that they felt that the moisture may be coming through from the flashing on the roof. And he suggested we perform a test of pouring water on from the roof onto the area above where we store the water coming in, and do it for over 3 to 4 hours, which we did. At the conclusion of that, there was no water coming in from the roof. So we went back to them and said, there's something going on here. We think that we should have a platform, a skid erected, and we should go up to the 3 or 4 floors where we see moisture and inspect for cracks. SEW said that visually they don't see any cracks. And they felt, again, that water may be coming in through either people's shutters or their windows. And they were claiming that all they did was apply new stucco to the building. They didn't structurally do anything to the building, and therefore it's not their issue. So they're saying that they will provide us with a platform for the engineering company to go up to inspect and to do a water test from there. But they're requiring us to pay for the materials to use to get the engineers up the building. And that's $5,460.
I feel is something they should have done while they were doing the concrete restoration, because we alerted them to this problem.
Okay, so you stated in the beginning that nobody wants to take responsibility for it, and the company that
Right.
MCW was alerted to it. So it really doesn't make sense to me to have someone do a job for something they might have been inadequate doing in the first place, because I guarantee you the result is going to be, well, it's not our problem. We didn't do anything wrong. That's going to be their outcome. That paper has already been written.
No.
So
Richard, they're not going to do anything except provide the swing stage. Bruce Bromley, the engineering company, will go up and he will do the inspection. MCW was also stating that this could be a poor caulking job done by JB Paint when they were supposed to caulk around all of our windows. We took off the shutters, if I'm correct. We took off the shutters to do the caulking. So I don't think it's a shutter issue, but it could be a caulking issue. And that's why MCW is walking away and saying, hey, it's not our issue. We didn't do any caulking.
I agree with Richard.
I think it's never, in my experience, it's never their issue. The parking lot in the back, the pavers that were shifting and everything moving, and the, okay, let's put a little concrete in there in a couple of dozen pavers, and that's going to hold all the other thousands of pavers together in one place. That doesn't make sense. And I was there when the paver guy came and when Rob from MCW was here, and they had a conversation. They decided that that was the solution before they even went out and looked. That was their speculation. So when we first decided to do something a few weeks ago, got notice on this, I sent an email requesting that we schedule additional engineers and additional construction companies to take a look at this. So I think that's really what needs to be done. I'm not happy with MCW's work, and maybe I'm being overcritical, as I occasionally am. I'm not happy with MCW's work. I don't trust Bruce Bromley. I feel that what he did with the Port Cochere on his 2 inspections and then for us to fix it 2 times, and then to find out that it's got leaks, maybe coming from the roof, but they're internal, and he was supposed to have looked in there to find structural damage. I don't trust him, and
I agree.
that's my feeling, and my feeling is that Bromley and MCW are in bed together, and we're the ones.
Let's make a motion to get another contractor in here and another engineer company to come in here and do an inspection. So,
Well, Bill, before you do that, if we're going to do that, then let's make it a dual project. Let's do the portico share and the stairwell with 2 new companies.
I'm fine. I have no problem with that.
Agree.
So I make a motion to move forward and get a new contractor and engineer for the stairwell that's having the issue with the water and the portico share.
A second.
Second.
I agree.
I'm in favor of that.
In favor.
New contractor and a new engineer.
Okay.
Take your vote.
Oh,
Yes.
Everybody.
make a motion, and everybody said yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Yes.
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 unanimous,
Okay.
6.
Thank you.
Okay, next one is discuss plumbing issue, stack 4 of the 10th floor. I don't have the,
Okay. So this is an issue concerning the plumbing. The board, I believe the board has already received information on this regarding stack 4 on the 10th floor. Apparently there is plumbing, that has been, plumbing for a washer and dryer that has been connected to the kitchen stack main building pipe. That currently, we had to go, and we were called in there because there was a plumbing issue that we had to take care of, which was the building's responsibility. We had the plumber there, and as he was making the repair, he advised us that there was an issue with an additional T that was not the main building T. It was a T that belonged to plumbing going to serving an individual unit owner's washer and dryer. So he alerted us that this T in plumbing was probably done without permits, may not be properly vented, and looks like it was deteriorating and had to be replaced. So he wanted to know whether we wanted to replace it. So that started the discussion as far as why is that T in plumbing connected to our kitchen stack main building pipe? We discussed it with Stuart. I sent the board an email summarizing, and there was a request on behalf of the unit owner also making a petition to the board to consider her. So we wanted to know if there is no permit on file, which we checked with the city, and there was no permit on file for any washer and dryer installation to that unit in the past, so that we can assume that it was done and permitted. We don't know if that feed and plumbing is rented property, and that should be fixed. So either the unit owner is going to have to redo that piping, first of all, to get it permitted correctly, and to replace that deteriorating T in plumbing that was pointed out by the plumber. But also we need to address whether the board wants that plumbing and T that serves an individual unit owner's washer and dryer to be connected to our main kitchen staff. Right.
Honey, I was gonna say, I have a question. How old is the washer dryer? Is it new or is it an old dryer?
I have no idea. When I walked in the unit, the washer and dryer is locked behind a closet. It may have been replaced, it may be new, it may be old. I have not.
Okay.
Washer and dryer. I just saw the
Thank you.
I was alerted and called in. So, normally, as I'm told, is when Gabriel saw the pipe, he said this is the first time in all these years here that he has ever seen an individual unit owner's washer and dryer plumbing go directly to our main building kitchen stack. Normally, it goes to the unit owner's individual plumbing to the bathroom, and it's usually ran that way. So that is what is consistent of what he's seen in Parliament Towers. So the question and discussion for the board now is whether the board is going to request that this unit owner get this plumbing redone, permitted by the city of Pompano Beach, and whether they're going to have her reroute it to her individual plumbing in her bathroom, or if they're gonna allow to leave it connected to the main building kitchen stock type.
Normally, this would be a slam dunk. However, I sympathize with the because they're not the ones who did this. They inherited this and they bought the unit. But the issue still remains that something has to be done.
Can I make a couple of comments?
Sure.
All right. There's no doubt in my mind the washer and dryer were there before we voted and grandfathered it. That's a line in the sand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
The plumber, who we all happen to know by name, it's not fair for us to ask him to do anything that is against the rules for the city to get a permit. So my stance is whoever the plumber is that Kim chooses to hire to fix it, does it to code. And that's at the unit owner's expense.
So,
The question is, should
I-
that pipe be connected to should the owner's pipe be connected to the building's pipe directly?
I don't really care as long as it's code work.
No, but you're setting a precedent in for future contractors also. That's why I'm asking.
Ultimately, every drop of water that you pour down a sink or out of a washing machine winds up in the building's pipes.
well,
Sure,
let's
but how
take
did
a
we get
step.
there?
Let's take a step back, okay? Because Stuart, I think what you're saying has a lot of validity. First of all, if the way things are now, if something were to happen and there was some sort of a major problem, the homeowner would have no recourse to their insurance company because they definitely deny the claim because there's no permit for what happened. Second of all, by connecting directly to a building pipe, if something were to happen at that juncture that caused a major problem somewhere else, I don't think the association would have any recourse either as far as insurance goes, because it's partly the homeowner and partly the building in terms of the piping. So unfortunately, I think those are big issues. That's why we have insurance.
But not only that, Richard, but I'm also wondering, after we go ahead and we line all the pipes, you're opening this up that any plumber could then go into our line pipe and cut it and connect another T into it. Because it's been done once, it can be done every time.
It's a good point.
And we're paying a lot of
Andrew,
money for them.
Andrew, the washer dryers, where are they connected to? Most of them that you know of?
All
kitchen-
most of them
our
are
kitchen waste
connected into the main sewer stack that deals with the back-to-back toilets. This is an odd one in my understanding that's in the kitchen stack. But I think
Okay.
most of them still branch into the main stack for the toilets.
Yeah. So typically, in other condominium associations, the unit owner should never install any of their individual plumbing to a main building stack, right? Your main building pipes should be untouched. You don't want contractors messing with that. Only whoever you hire as an association to deal with main building issues. So the automatically correct answer would be for her to rewrite her piping. But the consideration is for her petition to be given an exception because in order for her to reroute it to her bathroom, she has just completed a renovation in her unit, spent a lot of money, and just did it. She would have to undo this all her tile work to run it back to her bathroom and connect it to her piping. And that's the hardship or that she is trying to express to the board. But the reality is that what's right is right, and you shouldn't have a unit owner connection directly to the main building pipe. I think that Stuart is correct, and Richard as well, when you're talking about the validity, the fact that you're setting a precedent. If you say yes to this unit owner, then in the future you can not really say no to anyone else, and that means you do not control who is tapping into your main pipes. Yes, do they eventually branch into our main pipes? Well, of course, but that's not the point. The point is their units are supposed to have their individual pipes serving their units, not touching our main pipes. So that's the hard discussion.
Well, putting it back on the owner, can they negotiate with the plumber to connect it into the piping under the sink,
That was done many years ago, I believe.
which is the unit owner's stuff anyway?
That would be the correct way to do it.
So let them explore that. Then it can be done to code and meet our requirement as well.
And we can communicate that to the unit owner.
We probably already just did.
Yes, good, yeah.
You know, if we, like you say, if we allow that pipe to stay there, the integrity of our stacked building pipes, if everybody starts doing it and there's issues like everybody's been saying in the walls, and it's the one from the wash machine that goes into whatever pipe, then, you know, who's really liable for that? And then, you know, how do you really put a blame on the unit owner, or not the blame, but the issue to the unit owner or the building? So
This really should be no different than connecting a dishwasher to your kitchen pipes.
right.
It could be just set up the same exact way for the waste pipe to go down.
And again, this is no fault of the unit owner. I mean, it was only uncovered because of a cracked pipe, but yet things happen, and you know, it's not always the way we want them to be, but we really can't have the pipe into our pipe. So, what are we gonna, do we make a motion that they contact the plumber? And see,
So to redo the plumbing with the correct permit from the city of Pompano Beach, and to discuss with their plumber that it could be routed to their individual plumbing under the kitchen sinks. Andrew, is that correct?
Yeah, I wouldn't try to get too specific about where and how, but it tee into the kitchen drains before the main stack.
Right. All right. Is that the motion?
They will make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Unanimous. Okay, we'll move on, discuss and approve connection elevator change order. Okay, we talked about that up in, old business. So,
You ready to make a motion?
you ready to make a motion?
Stuart, you can make your motion now.
Go ahead, Stuart.
What's my motion?
For the connections elevator to get the,
I make a motion to approve the connections elevator change order to balance the weight, but to continue to inspect for the other cabs that we don't incur the same issue.
For how much money?
it's
3,000.
3328,
Right.
about $800,
Like it.
roughly
I
about,
don't like it, but I'll go along with it.
Yeah, I'm not happy. Nobody's happy with this.
And
But
to
we
send
got-
them a letter, right? And to send them a letter that we're paying it.
Under protest.
okay.
Does someone second that motion?
I second the motion.
All
All
in
in
favor?
favor?
Everyone vote?
Aye.
Yes, aye.
Yes.
Zero.
And you know what, there was a question before about when the service elevator would be back up and running. So
When
we
the
don't
city-
know because it has to be re-inspected. And from what has to be done now, there's a lead time in getting the parts, which is 2 to 4 weeks.
Right.
So you've got that, and then you've got the work that has to be done, and then an inspection.
Is there a way we,
I understand they're trying to get a date for the reinspection now.
and Stuart, maybe we can, instead of having this go through, Avid Exchange and wait 2 weeks for it to go through Avid Exchange, maybe we can do a handwritten check with the deposit so they can, or they commit, you know, so we can get it moved forward.
We'll do a dummy check on that.
Okay.
Next.
Okay, D, discuss and approve all Florida window parts. This is for 2 units, actually 2 units in the building.
No, I thought 700 is just for the one.
Yeah, it's the cost for repairing the windows in a unit with window hardware, weather stripping repair,
1 unit.
916, comes to $754.86.
Is that for 2 units, Bill? Half of that?
That's
One
one
unit.
unit.
1 unit. We've got the
$700 for 1 unit.
Yeah.
Now that's labor and material to install the new seals.
Remember, this is the second invoice. There was already work on 1 window. This is for the remainder of the windows. You previously approved for 1. Now this is for the remainder of the windows in that unit.
This is all the windows in a single unit.
If this is, no, they've already done work for 1 unit, 1 window in the
Yes.
unit.
There's 8 windows left.
Right. Right?
Yes,
So,
I've lost track of who's on first.
yeah,
And for all the windows.
Except one.
yeah. 1 was done previously, and there's 8 more for repair and resealing of windows.
Is that a
And then
reasonable?
we have a second unit.
Yes, we do have a second unit, and I would suggest
we requested a proposal, so when that comes in, it'll be sent to the board as well.
Okay, because I know that unit said that they're leaving Florida and they'd like to get it done before they leave.
so.
Yes, the contractor should be getting that in.
So I make a motion to accept the bid of $754.86 to replace the windows and seals in unit 916.
Okay, I approve. I second it.
I approve.
Approved.
Okay.
So I have a question while we're on that, Bill. So I've seen some emails going back and forth on the second unit on 808, 18, what is it, 1808, right?
1808.
Saying, oh, the material's been ordered, and I guess this is going back 3 or 4 months already. The material is on back order, the material's on back order with no date as to when the material is going to come in. And now we're finding out that there hasn't even been a proposal on that in 3 or 4 months.
I don't know if for the window seals or the things on the side of the windows that pop,
The spring balances.
Balances. the rods, because
So,
those rods don't come from local, they come from, I believe, overseas.
yeah, I can look into that unit if possible. We do the rods in the unit. So the rods are separate from the
Yes.
seals and these things that we're doing here. That's why we contracted it out. So we may have done rods in that unit. But I know Seth had not moved on to that unit because he was still unfortunately not getting approved the invoice for the first unit. I think there was a bit of consideration on the board's part before getting this approved, so then we put it on the agenda. There was discussion as to whether you guys were gonna approve this or not, so he didn't have the green light to move on to the next unit. That's why we're just getting on the proposal on the next unit. And now that you've approved this, they'll move forward with the second one.
Okay, so you can.
I'd like the building to own the ceiling material and stock it in 1,000-foot rolls. Because
I agree with you.
when Gabriel's or George or whoever's changing the spring balances, they've got the window out in their hand. 5 more minutes would slide new seals in. This is not rocket science.
We did ask Gabriel the last time that this company was here to stay with them and observe how they did it. So, when Gabriel is back, we can ask him about whether.
No, I don't want to ask Gabriel. I want to tell him we are going to stock this ceiling material and you will install it.
And I think somebody else should also be trained along with him, so we have two people who handle it.
Of
Because-
course,
Yes.
yes, he should train everybody on his staff to do it. That way anyone can address work orders.
So if you get the two kinds of ceiling material, get 1,000-foot rolls of both kinds ordered to stock in the building, along with more spring balances.
Yeah, the balances and rods we ordinarily order, so yes, we'll
Well,
look into
just
getting.
add to that reordering the ceiling materials to go with it.
Okay,
Maybe you can order for more windows.
okay.
So what is it that we haven't, what parts is it that we haven't been able to obtain in the past 4 months?
I think it's the ceiling gaskets.
It was the gasket, yes, it was the gasket. Even Eurotech, I think, if I remember correctly, Eurotech did not do gaskets. So they made us go to check with another company. We had to locate a company. They called a couple of companies that didn't have gaskets or wouldn't just do the gasket. But sometimes you have companies do that as well. They're not going to come out just for a small job. This company agreed to it. They came and then they gave us a proposal.
I
Okay,
see a
so
chat just popped up about somebody else requesting it. We have not seen it. I have not seen another request. If you did, please put a new work order in. Whoever just wrote that chat.
Okay,
Item E.
item E, discuss and approve consideration of levying fines for unit 927 and 1805.
Right.
So,
927, so we've had noise complaints, from the unit below that 927 apparently may not have, adequate soundproofing because there is a lot of noise that is traveling below.
How long have we gotten those complaints?
It's been about 2 years now, 2 years of that.
Okay.
Of the complaint. I know previously, last year, city inspector was called out to look at it. Once again, this year, the city inspector was called out again. There has been communication with the unit owner of 927. Letters have been sent. We spoke to, the family of that handles the matters for the unit owner here in person, in the lobby. To discuss the noise complaints, we have explained that it is considered a nuisance at this point because it has been 2 years ongoing, and there is definitely some type of issue that they need to address, whether that be to verify their soundproofing is at an adequate STC rating, or even if it is, perhaps they should consider upgrading it just because the complaints are not going to go away. Whatever they have is not working. So we have communicated, the unit owner did respond. At first they were communicating back with us, and they did, the unit owner himself called, but that said that he would have the family member handle it. The family member came, spoke to us, had a contractor come in. They looked at the flooring and I guess made their assessment and just provided a blank letter statement saying that the soundproofing was adequate. We requested specific STC rating. They aren't or have not been able to provide a specific soundproof rating. So we cannot determine whether or not they are actually in violation of the City of Pompano requirements. Parliament Towers does not have a specific STC rating requirement. We just say, per your condo docs, that you are to check with the City of Pompano Beach and you must be compliant to city code. So because they're not able to determine a number, we can't say 100% that the number is not meeting the City of Pompano Beach requirement, but it is still considered a nuisance because the unit owner below has definitely cannot enjoy her, unfortunately, her way of life, everything she hears, every time someone takes the bathroom, she can't sleep, she can't work. It's been a major issue.
Bonnie, am I correct that the city has not been able to provide us with a copy of a permit for this work that was done previously?
Correct, we asked the city to look and they could not find a permit on file for that flooring. But also the city of Pompano, back a few years, they didn't, at that time, they didn't require permits for the sound proofing or for flooring. At some point, they began to require permits, and they cannot determine whether it was before or after. They just do not have any proof of permits on file. So,
Could this be alleviated if they put down a padding and carpeting over their floor? I mean, they don't have to rip up their whole floor. They could just put another covering over it and, give it further soundproofing.
It's a rental unit, so they probably don't want it to bother.
they need a contractor to come out and give them some type of soundproofing adjustment or improvement to their flooring. And any contractor that you call will gladly provide their service for that. So they've had a contractor, but since the contractor came out and basically gave us a letter saying that they had adequate soundproofing, the unit owner, our family communicated that they did not feel that there was anything else they had to do because they did not feel they were in violation. But the conversation was had with them that it was a nuisance, the complaint was happening, it was not gonna go away, and they should do something to try to alleviate that complaint. So that's why
Let me step in here and for 1 second and let me further that, Fanny, because you and I made a phone call to that company to speak to the person who signed that letter, and he denied ever signing that letter.
correct. He said that
So,
he's not.
to me, that letter is fraudulent and it doesn't exist.
Right. He said he did not produce the letter, that if there's an obvious 2-year issue, that that person should replace or put in installed soundproofing correctly. So, yes. Now, we did have a phone call later on by the partner, who apparently submitted that letter. And the point here is there is a noise complaint. The unit owner is asking for assistance to mediate this. We've done, as an association, everything that we can to try to assist. We've communicated, we've made the suggestion to bring out the contractor, but the unit owner has, based on what their contractor told them, has decided not to do anything. So that's why they're on the list today for consideration of fine. We did send them a last letter telling them they had a certain deadline to respond, and they did not do anything as far as improving that soundproofing. There was a phone call today, I know, and yesterday that they would join this conversation, the board. So the board is gonna make a decision on whether levying a fine based on all this information.
Excuse us. May I
Excuse
talk
us.
something? Hello? Can you hear me?
Can you hear us? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
This is not complete. She's harassing people. First of all, did the inspector did inspection from your building recommendations. Second of all, he proved it and they have a letter. Whatever he told or whatever he thinks is fraudulent or not, is going to be under investigation. Second of all, before she moved in, was no complaints. She even complained when nobody lives in that apartment. I think maybe, and plus, association should pay for the testing that they break the tile. And another, further testing, this is supposed to be association expense.
And I'm sorry,
This is harassing. You're purely harassing them.
excuse
You
me,
tried to
I
find-
want to explain you something. You know, because when we bought this apartment 11 years ago, and nobody complained about anything, when this lady came in, she started to complain. Even nobody lives in this apartment. Last year, we got a call from the office, and they said was something sound coming from our office. We called our tenant, and they said was they're out of the country for 2 months already. How it can be? Can you explain to us how it can be?
Ma'am, I'm sorry, can you please identify yourself? You're not the unit owner, correct?
And everything what you recommended to
Ma'am,
us.
I'm sorry, can you please identify yourself? Are you a unit owner of Parliament Towers, or you are the
Yes.
family of?
Yes,
They own it.
yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am.
Okay,
The This is my son's apartment. We bought for our son 11 years ago this apartment.
So it's not the.
And my son now, he is in Texas. He's very busy. He cannot come to this Zoom. And he asked us to answer on all these questions about. And the guy who came, who, took away the tile, was from your company, what you recommended to us. He gave us a document, has a soundproof under the tile. He gave us, and we showed to the office, and he sent to the office too.
Okay.
That's why maybe this lady,
Can I ask a question? You said you've owned this unit 11 years?
yes.
Okay. When did you put down the floor? Was it within the 11 years?
Do anything. This is what we bought as is. And we have inspection. We had inspection this time. And 2 times they called City Hall. They came. They didn't find anything. Then your office recommended to us what we have to take off the tile and see what is under the tile. We did.
Yes.
We hired this company. And they did a damage on our floor. It's still open. You can go and check if you want. And he gave us the paper, what they have, some proof, and they have everything. And nobody knows what is coming sound from our apartment or from another one, because nobody were in this apartment. How it can work this way?
It is completely harassment.
Not saying it was fraudulent, not fraudulent. You have a
Video. She sent out on
We have everything. We have by law. At this time when we bought this apartment, we have by law. And by law said what we have to have water on the tile, soundproof under the tile. And this guy who opened from your company what you gave to us recommendation to hire them, they said what they have soundproof like quarters of inch.
How will it sound is coming? The tenants they working in the sacks.
They're afraid to splash the toilet at the night time, they said. And when I went to your building, I spoke to people and they said, well, this is so nice, people lives in our apartment. And they, didn't complain about that. They complain about the neighbor who lives downstairs, about this lady. And even I talked to the worker who works for this building. They said, well, this lady is not so behaved.
So, ma'am, the contractor that you called, the letter that you gave us, that's not our contractor. We don't have any contract. We don't employ any contractors. If you and I discussed that what you should do is bring out a contractor to assess your flooring, and that's what you did. But we don't have any contractors.
I sent it to you. And this company is coming from this list.
Yes, I don't know.
You recommend this company. Your actual association should pay for that, but they did pay.
First of all, the association doesn't pay for any inspections. That's up to the unit owner.
No.
This is what you complain, and by law, association should pay for that investigation.
No, that's incorrect. Everything inside your unit is the unit owner responsibility. When I discussed it to you, I told you that it was a suggestion. The letter in writing says it's a suggestion. You went ahead and hired a contractor. You made an agreement between you and the contractor, and it's not our contractor. We don't hire or employ contractors. You may have gotten names if you ask the office for names of people, contractors, because you don't know contractors. Often people will do that. We don't recommend anyone, but we will give you names of people that we have license and insurance on file. That will do, but we don't necessarily recommend anyone to you because we don't hire or employ contractors.
Funny, I remember when I came with my husband to this building, you gave me a letter, which one I have. This letter is here. I have in front of me, and this is 3 company what you recommended me. I know about all this stuff. That's why I hired from this list somebody. I didn't bring my neighbor, I didn't bring my relatives. I hired from this list what you gave to me. And this guy, he came and he gave me a letter. I have a letter with his signature, what is quarter of inch soundproof under my tile. It's still open.
Woody.
Fix it. We didn't fix it. You can go and hire somebody who will check if they have, if still, you know, the tile soundproof.
And you know, it is grandfather law. What?
We didn't
All
do
rule
anything.
and regulation continues in a required to the new existing situation. I am sorry.
So once again, the association does not hire or employ contractors. If you were given names for contractors, that's one thing, but they're not our contractors, regardless.
No,
So,
that's
board of directors, this is the situation in hand. You have a unit owner who is apparently suffering for 2 years and asking for assistance. You have another unit owner saying that the claims are not correct and that they don't have to do anything forward. So that's why it's on the agenda for discussion or consideration of a fine. The board can decide what action you want to take.
In front of me, all the letters. I have your law. What when we bought this apartment, you gave me the book by law, and this is according to this by law. Everything is done.
According to our condo docs,
yes,
Yes. Yes, I showed to you, Fanny. I showed to
What
you.
I have this by law.
yes, absolutely. I spoke to you and I explained everything to you. The bylaws that you were given, when did you purchase?
11 years ago.
11 years ago. Since I don't know what you were given 11 years ago. I was not here, but what I do know is that your current condominium documents refer that the requirements are based on the city of Pompano requirement. So at this point, board of directors, it is for your discussion.
By the way, I have the letter here that Fonnie sent to you. And in the letter with the contractors, she noted to you that please note that these contractors are mere suggestion, and you may feel to contact any licensed and insured contractor. So she let you know that these people have nothing, that we have nothing to do with them, and it was just a way to you to find out what your issue was. So it's not a building issue. And this is going back 2 years, and there's no permit that we can find. So I recommend that we issue a $100 fine until this floor is corrected and this unit owner can sleep in peace. Anybody want to second the fine? My motion.
Anybody want a second or anyone else have comment? Okay.
I'll second it.
Lorraine said yes.
Oh, we vote now.
Vote.
Yeah, in favour.
Oh, everyone's voting?
How many do we have?
Can you make your yeses clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Richard?
Yeah.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Okay, I think
Alec,
I'd like to.
corrected, we will bring it back up again. So please, let's get that floor corrected so everybody can live in peace.
Richard, you were saying something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I think it's the issue is larger than just whether you get a fine or not, or whether someone gets a fine. You know, we all bought apartments here. You get what you get when you buy it. That's why they say buyer beware. We don't know everything. I mean, I had things that I had to correct in my apartment, which looked fine, but wasn't up to code. You know, I had an inspector come when I bought the apartment. He's just an inspector. He doesn't do everything as far as code. He's looking for the general appearance of the apartment. So between that and the fact that things change, laws change, we have to adapt to those changes. It's just part of what it is. And the city of Pompano, which Fanny referred to, has code on what's required in flooring, even though we don't have specific code other than the fact that you have to have an underlayment or a sound barrier.
55.
When we don't have that,
For the
the
requirement.
document, when we don't have that, it reverts back to the code, the law that the city has. They have jurisdiction. So I understand you said that you presented a sample of what you have underneath your floor to the office. Is that correct?
This is what you gave us recommendation to open the floor and to make as
Yes. That's not my question. You said, I believe you said that you opened the floor and you gave what's underneath the floor
Yes,
soundproofing to the office, right?
yes.
So they gave us a sample sheet, that's not, and I spoke to the contractor, that's not the specific specs for her soundproofing. That's just the sheet that he found in comparison. But Stuart and I were on the phone with the contractor when we were told that's not the specific what's on her flooring. They don't have anything specific to her flooring because they didn't do it and they didn't put it down.
Let Jackson open that.
Okay.
The tile
Just
still.
to clarify one thing with the board of directors, I just want to make sure on the fine. Stuart, you have the copy of the letter too as well. Of the letter that we sent. We advised that
Have a copy.
the board that the board can levy daily fines of $100 per day up to $1,000. So I just
Right.
want to make sure that did the board just decide to levy 100 only, or are you doing 100 up to 1,000, just so it's clear?
100 only.
My motion was $100 fine with the stipulation that if this is not corrected, we will revisit this and we will refine.
Okay, perfect, just so that it's clear, thank you. Okay, does anyone else on the board have further comment on this?
No.
Go to sleep.
Okay, so then are we good to move on to the next?
Yes.
Okay.
1805.
So 1805. 1805 is a complaint. I'm sorry, ma'am. We've moved on now. Please, we're taking the floor back. Thank you. The next consideration is for levying a fine for unit 1805. There have been complaints that there is smoke coming from this unit. And unfortunately, we continue to get those complaints. So that's why it's for consideration of levying a fine. Board?
Just to clarify, cigarette smoke.
Correct, yes.
So,
Have we got any photographs or anything to back it up?
Andrew, what happened here is that we have received constant complaints for over 1 year about smoke coming from this apartment, from a unit owner on the floor. We weren't able to corroborate and we weren't able to do anything. Unit owner says that she doesn't smoke at all. Now, coincidentally, the people who live around her now are also launching the same complaint. So we have the same complaint coming from 3 different locations surrounding this apartment. This person said that they don't smoke, but I will tell you that 2 weeks ago, I exited the parking garage in my car and I was behind this person. And this person pulled over when they got to Riverside, took out a cigarette and lit it up in front of me. So I do know that the person does smoke. So I would say that the circumstantial evidence here is adequate that this person should receive a fine.
Okay, understood.
Okay, any other
I
comments?
also think, I think because of the severity of the issue, because it's been ongoing for a long time, I would propose a maximum fine. This is not a first time offense. Well, whatever it is, all I'm saying is that the complaint's been going for a very long time, and on top of that, the person, based on Stuart's comments,
Howard, we never had corroborating evidence before, that's why.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm talking about that they've been lying to us.
Yes.
Okay.
By the way, this unit owner will not allow the exterminator into her unit for over 2 years now. And I think that part of the problem is because the exterminator would then smell all the smoke that's emanating from that unit.
I mean, I don't know what, you guys know the rules a little better than me, but I would propose a maximum fine. I think that her behavior is egregious. I think that because we were lenient because we could not get corroborating evidence until recently, I'm sorry, I think this is unacceptable.
Thank you. I agree.
Okay.
I make a motion that we fine unit number 1805 $100, which is the maximum we're allowed to do, for violating the no smoking rule and smoking on common areas and in her unit.
I second you.
We get further complaints, we'll fight again next month.
That's right.
Okay?
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
I will say yes, but I will also say that if there are other unit owners as well in the vicinity that are complaining, the way to handle it, in my opinion, is that they have to document their complaints, and then that could be considered a nuisance,
Yes.
and something can be done about it.
Well, I think this $100 will send a notice to the person that we're not messing around anymore and it has to stop.
Need a second.
Yep.
So you
You
make a
a
motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second and voted. It's unanimous.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Before we adjourn, just to let everybody who is online here know that there is a second board meeting tomorrow just to vote on a couple of items that we couldn't get onto the agenda for today. It will be maybe a 5 or 10-minute meeting at the most. So you're invited back to Zoom again if you want to attend tomorrow's meeting. We're scheduled for that at 11 o'clock tomorrow.
I have something to tell you after we finish.
Okay.
I wanted a couple of minutes with just the board after this.
Okay.
Okay. I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Yeah, in favor.
Thank you, everybody.
Can you get it where it's just the board left, Stuart? Or
I can't. Bill has to do that, or Fanny has to do that from her.
whoever's driving?
I'm trying to find this.
Everybody waiting.
I still see Dimitri up there.
Fanny, you need to log the people out, Fanny.
Yeah, I'm
We're doing it
sorry.
now.
Okay. Hello?
Wait a second.
Yeah, that's it.